Zafar Islam, what did you want to say?
Well, Rahul and Rajdeep, you are posing a question whether 1 lakh crore, what relief has been given to the taxpayers and to the people of the middle class, people are responding that it's not sufficient. I think you should pose this question to the common man on the street. The middle class, I think their response will be very different, because people who are dealing in trillions and talking about trillions perhaps may not be able to appreciate what 80,000 is all about. And those who have a salary of 12 lakhs, 80,000 benefits is something which will definitely be paramount importance for them. Unlike people who are actually voicing here that 1 lakh crore is not sufficient, because people were talking about that you should give some relief to the taxpayers. It's not some relief, it's a major relief. That's what I wanted to highlight. That's a major relief which has been given to the taxpayers. Okay. Something which even taxpayers had never anticipated, that beyond 10 lakh relief will be given. So the people who are earning, you pose a question to Price Waterhouse guy that whether somebody is having a salary of 12 lakh. I must tell you that people who have a salary of 12 lakh per annum will not have to be paid. Even 12.75 lakh will not have to pay any tax, zero tax liability for them, except in the case of where they have a capital gains tax, perhaps that is applicable, or any additional special rate, which is not applicable under the relief which has been given. Away from that, a simple salaried class, 1 lakh salary up to 12.75 lakh is absolutely zero tax liability.
Shobna Kamineni, what kind of a multiplier effect do you see from that 1 lakh crore rupees which has been freed up through direct taxes, left in the hands of consumers to go out and spend on whatever it is they want to go out and spend on or invest? And how do you see that play out and the impact that could have on India's growth prospects?
It's not that great a largesse that they're going to go and blow it up. But what I think it'll do is it'll kickstart a virtuous cycle that they'll put, that they'll probably spend on maybe some amount on preventive health care, maybe on a checkup. The older people will start using that money. Some of them will put it towards stocks, but I think a lot of this will come back into consumption. So that whatever 12 or 15,000 rupees that are in people's hands, or more than that, will start actually showing up in the economy. They're not going to just lock it up in their banks.
On insurance as well, the government has given indications that foreign insurance companies could well come up to 100% and be, in India. They will get full benefits from the government. Do you see that leading to investments from foreign insurance companies to an even greater extent in the country?
Quite frankly, I was in that sector. I think that every foreign insurer is really looking for an Indian partner also, because they don't want to own this 100%. It's always better when they have an Indian partner who can help them navigate and actually use their network to increase their base. But definitely, I think that it will allow people to invest more. The insurance companies will have deeper pockets, and maybe they'll expand the market a lot more.
Shankar, you want?
So, we're talking about whether this 12 lakh tax thing. So there is a bit of semantics involved, whether 12 lakhs is tax-free or whatever. There is some tax applicable, whatever. But if you look at the larger number, the total budget number, the increase in expenditure is somewhere around 3.5 lakh crore. Now, the increase in between the previous year and this year was also similar. The placement of the capex at 11.2 lakh is similar to last year. What is different this time is that there has been a push for the demand side, for the consumption. So it remains to be seen. I mean, there are experts who sort of can analyze whether 3.5 lakh crores can result, what kind of a bang that it gets, or whether it simply halts the slide in the GDP growth. So this is a very, it's a gambit in a sense whether that will translate. What is interesting is that they have created certain impulses in the ground for agriculture loans, for MSMEs and all, and hopefully some of them will actually happen. there's a lot of declaration of intent here, but we all have to pray for growth, I guess.
Yeah, can I add? I think all the different things I've been thinking that she's talked about. She's covered germplasm, she's covered startups, she's covered medical tourism, she's covered obviously MSME, digital public infrastructure. So this will actually also give ideas to entrepreneurs to start entering these areas. And so that could actually guide our economy into areas that haven't really been invested in by startups.
Especially for the new age sectors.
Yeah, so I think the startup and the entrepreneurs will start getting ideas as to, okay, these are the areas that I should start focusing on because I'll get some benefits.
So on a long-term basis also, this fact that there has been no fiscal deficit slippage because we did spend 1 lakh crores in CapEx, and it is, we had said, the previous budget she had said 4.9% and now it's 4.8%, and the target ahead has been moved up from 4.5 to 4.4%. I think all of this are signals supposed to give to the investors that, okay, we're fixing things, we're doing things and all. But, I mean, my concern is that what prevented the utility of the total 11 lakh crores, that has not been explained fully. It can't be just the elections. And what is the government going to do to fix that? That has to be explained.
But strategically or purely in terms of direction, the same government which post-COVID was doing all the heavy lifting for the last 3 years is now saying, look, we want to get the consumer and private investment now to drive growth. We were the ones who over the last 4 years were doing all the heavy lifting, not the private sector.
So one significant announcement I think which came was the opening up of Gati Shakti to private players. That was also announced. Now, Gati Shakti has been a very important platform being used by government for infrastructure creation.
So the question that
giving it for private players.
No, but over the last 4 years,
the execution efficiency.
No, the question is over the last 4 years, the government has done a lot of the heavy lifting, or was ready to do a lot of the heavy lifting in 2024. Has that shifted to the government now expecting the private sector and the consumers to drive growth?
So let's look at it like, it's the 7th over of a T20 match. You change the field settings for the spinner or somebody else. So I guess here they've set the capex at the same level and said, okay, we can't push this just with the capex. We have to get demand into the picture.
So is there a reset? Is there a reset given what was talk? There was so much talk of supply side economics. In fact, Indians were looking during COVID, pointing to the Americans, how they got it wrong, led to inflationary spiral. Now, 4 years later, we are willing to say that...
That's all, that's totally bollocks. I think this whole thing that the Americans got wrong and we got it right. We didn't do anything and got inflation. So, let's not sort of pat ourselves on the back.
But 4 years later, are we resetting?
We are resetting in the sense that there is a greater recognition that the private sector has to play a role. But the private sector now has an additional Trump challenge facing it. So whether it invests or not is going to be a major question. I'm like everybody celebrating that consumption is 61% of GDP, but I don't know whether it's 61% because we are doing better or with 61% because agriculture industry are doing poorly.
But with the country our size and the scale, you cannot have just the government or the private sector. Both have to.
Absolutely, it has to be.
All engines have to fire.
All sectors have to do their job. Each one has its own role.
So what we'll do is we'll take a break right now. We'll have more coverage, reactions to the budget. There's also the big general Delhi elections, campaigning for which ends tomorrow. So we're tracking all of that and more.
2 days. Actually, now the government has got a real issue to go to the people of Delhi. Over the next 48 hours, you can expect a complete blitz from the government.
मैंने बोला था राजनीति को.
No. It's the BJP's vote. My point is slightly different.
A lot of those middle class voters in the
we can discuss the politics of
leave and go to vote for the AAP. The BJP's hope with these changes in tax is that they will not go and they will stay on in the BJP. Now, whether that happens
that's
or
not. Actually, that's
what they'll try.
No, the demographics of Delhi are very different. We can discuss politics differently. If you look at the demographics of Delhi, the BJP has never gone below 38% of the vote. They get their vote from their middle class areas. The real battle of Delhi, and that's the debate, is where are the Jhuggi Jhopdis going to vote and where are the women voters going to vote. These are the two key constituencies that will decide Delhi.
We'll focus on the budget numbers today. We'll focus on elections 3rd, 4th, 5th and then 7th and 8th.